Let me bring in Jaiprakash Narayan. Lok Satta has often spoken about transparency, need for accountability, need to ensure that our elections are devoid of money power. There's a sense that these state elections, this whole so-called freebie culture has meant that every party is announcing cash handouts. And what seems to have happened is that these cash handouts seem to have different rules for different parties. What's your sense? Is this in some way undermining democracy when a party says, day before the polls, 5,000 rupees will come into your account under an ongoing scheme?
Thank you, Rajdeep. There are, to my mind, three connected issues here. The first is, has the Election Commission overstepped its boundaries? It appears that EC has been inconsistent and arbitrary. I am quite surprised that the order is that you can distribute the money, but it cannot be part of the political discourse during the campaigning. What does it mean? A government that actually does something good, bad, ugly, whatever, it's legitimately done as a public policy, cannot state that in campaigning. What kind of an order is that? And then they cannot promise anything more in the election for the next term if they come to power. Well, the other parties are free to promise. By definition, it's an arbitrary order. It's not well thought out. The second is, when the Election Commission actually had the jurisdiction, legitimate jurisdiction to actually curb some freebies which are clearly beyond the pale of the Constitution, the Commission failed to do so.
Give me an example.
2006, Rajdeep, Tamil Nadu offered color TV. I appealed to the Commission. I told them, ordinarily, Commission has no role in election campaign issues. It's for the people and the political parties. But under what provision of the Constitution is it the role of the government to promote TVs? If you allow color TVs today, tomorrow somebody will say, we'll give you 10 grams of gold. If you allow that day after tomorrow, somebody will say, I'll give you 5 bottles of liquor every month. What is wrong with that? So there is a line, there is a threshold which is being crossed. The Commission failed to act. And now actually one party offered 10 grams of gold as part of the marriage, 1 lakh rupees in cash plus 10 grams of gold. Already it's happening. Tomorrow I'll not be surprised if somebody offers liquor. But the final question, the bigger question is, where will it stop? Apart from elections. Elections is one thing. I don't think elections, it makes serious difference. People see through all this. But where will it stop? Certainly, we have to have welfare in a poor country. You cannot say you will ignore the pain of poverty in the short term. But if that's all the government does, that's all the government publicizes, we're in serious danger. Article 293 imposes the burden on the union. The Constituent Assembly clearly debated this repeatedly. Ambedkar and Munshi and others said, the credit to the Union of India and the financial stability, they have to be managed federally. Under Article 293, the union government has the responsibility to ensure that certain conditions are imposed for the debt. Now, what we should do is, whatever you want to do, the states are free to do. After all, you are elected by the people. But you cannot borrow money to give short-term welfare measures. Borrowed money has to be for investment. There has to be some basic rule. The Constitution provides for that. So I think beyond the election, irrespective of who wins, we have to now look at that. Otherwise, Telangana, right now, in the last 5 years, has been giving about 50,000 crores plus annually in terms of short-term welfare measures. What is offered by one of the parties, in addition to 50,000 crores, is about 80,000 crores per year. Simply unsustainable. On top of it, an old pension system, unviable pension system, going back from the national pension system, which is funded, going back to the unfunded pension system that will destroy the states. Now, you cannot have it in perpetuity. You have to take them out of election campaign, and the union government has to play its rightful role under Article 293 of the Constitution, and the government has been failing in doing that.
We'll come to those specific figures, because in every state today, there is a crisis financially, Krishang Mane. And that financial crisis is being sparked off by what many see as freebies. Some may be genuine welfare measures. But when I offer free mobile phones to women, for example, as is the offer in Rajasthan, or when you are offering monies, cash handouts for those during marriage under Shadi Mubarak, then there will be questions. Are these welfare measures, or is this an attempt to bribe the voters? That's the other question, the larger question. It's not just to do with what the EC has done. It's to do with the manner in which governments, including yours in Telangana, are being accused of effectively using financial resources to bribe the voters. Not for welfare benefits, but essentially a bribe.
Rajdeep, I don't think any of our scheme is actually for luxury or for the privileged. If, for instance, you say about the 1,01,016 rupees which we are giving, it has curbed the women trafficking here with the scheme Shadi Mubarak. Otherwise, earlier, before 2014, Hyderabad was known for Dubai sheikhs coming and marrying young women, young children here and taking them to the Dubai. But we have curbed it with the scheme like Shadi Mubarak. If we have started a Dalit Bandhu, those Dalits who are getting benefited out of this scheme, they put up a business. They are actually contributing to the economic growth, economic engine of the state. If we are giving the sheep, we are giving the buffaloes, that community is actually they are gaining because it's giving them 10,000 to 12,000 per sheep. If we are actually putting those fish seedlings in the lake or in the rivers, that is giving economic development to the Mudraj community. So these are not just freebies. We have not announced like the Congress scooties, free scooties. I'll tell you one thing, Rajdeep. I've seen numerous national parties in UP, in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan. Today in Telangana also they've entered by announcing scooties. But has any of the state government actually delivered? Just for the mere announcement. Even BJP has done that, even Congress has done that. I don't think any of our scheme is
So
actually...
you're trying to make a distinction between what you're calling our welfare measures and what others will call freebies. Anil Antony, the Prime Minister says this is Revdi culture. But this Revdi culture seems to be also in the BJP is also announcing free scooties. So when the BJP announces free schemes, it's not Revdi. But when the opposition announces it, it becomes Revdi. How is it that when the BJP announces in all the states various cash handout schemes, it is seen as welfareism? Moment opposition announces it, and in some instances ahead of you, you say it's Revdi.
Rajdeep, thank you. The Bharatiya Janata Party was never against welfareism, but we have always stood for sustainable and progressive growth. You look at what the Bharatiya Janata Party has been doing in the last 9.5 years. Again, like I already mentioned earlier, welfare in a country like India with our demographics, we do need welfare schemes, and that is a very important strand of our form of governance. But we have been stressing on growth first. You look at the last 9.5 years, every single year India has been one of the fastest growing major economies.
No, but if we are the fastest growing economy, as you say, Anil Antony, why do you need these schemes? My point is, why not accept that there is economic distress? And rather than saying all, you see, the point is you're saying that we are the fastest growing, but you're going to elections and appealing to elections on freebies.
So let me clarify. So one, we are growing, but at the same time to ensure that there is inclusive growth and to ensure that everybody are a part of that growth, we have been empowering our citizens who sometimes are not growing the same way.
No, how is a scooty inclusive?
So again, before we go to these scooties, let me tell some of the other things we have been doing. Where under the PM Housing Yojana, 4 crore houses. In the tap water scheme, 40 crore beneficiaries. You have gas connections. You have a digital public infrastructure. You have like all these. This is building hard capacity where it's not a one-time thing. This is something that once you give to a beneficiary, it is something which that person, it is with the person, or it is something which the person will be using for a long time. So this is our core focus: growth and creating capacity of empowering people by creating these kind of digital public infrastructure and digital and public infrastructure. Okay. Then along with that, we also have been giving welfare schemes to ensure that...
Scooty, I'll ask you again, is a free scooty for you a welfare scheme or a freebie?
See, the biggest of our schemes, one of our biggest announcements was one the Honorable Prime Minister made some days back, where 80 crore people will be getting an extension of their free ration scheme. And I'm very sure that we all, like even members of the opposition were applauding that, because we understand in a country like India, like we have to ensure that there should be equitable growth where like everybody don't grow the same way.
No, there's an acknowledgement that there is economic distress at the bottom of the pyramid. No, I don't think anyone will object giving free ration to the poor, provided...
It is not distress.
Okay, it's not distress, then what is it? If it is not distress, what is it? 80 crore you are saying 80 crore Indians are getting free ration. If 80 crores...
Per capita has been... So we have been the fastest growing economy for the last 9.5 years. Our per capita has been increasing also, means average
Then why
growth
do
of
I
the-
need to give 80 crore Indians free ration?
Because everybody don't grow the same way. Like one,
Okay. So there's an acknowledgement of inequalities, but
that happens across the world.
Okay,
So
agreed.
Let's not
I'm
go
not
into
saying
another debate.
I-
Where is inequality?
Sir, I asked you about free scooties. You've gone to everything else but free scooties, Mr. Anthony. You're not answering me whether free
inequalities
scooties
exist
are a
everywhere,
freebie
as
or a
long as-
welfare benefit.
See, inequalities, Rajdeep, exist across the world. There is nowhere in the world inequality is not there. But as long as there is overall growth, where people are growing and people are getting certain benefits, where their overall lifestyle is improving, their overall quality of life is improving, where people are getting avenues of social and economic mobility. That has been happening in this country consistently for the last 9.5 years.
You
This
did
is why
not answer my question about the free scooty. Is a free scooty a freebie or not? Yes or no?
See, I don't know where this free scooty is coming from. So please elaborate.
Because in different announcements have been made by your leaders as well.